Hello everyone. Now let's take a look at the US stock market, specifically the well-known company of Elon Musk, Tesla. So everything you can see here and now at this moment is a short. Why? Because for now the market is still closed today. It will open, the American session, in about an hour, maybe a little less. But yesterday there was a bearish engulfing pattern on the daily scale. This happened after the high was updated. And on top of that, there is a completely clear and pronounced divergence. Is it possible to go short at the market open? No. I believe not. Such large candles usually get a pullback. The short here is just obvious and blatant. You should place your stop above the high of that candle. But you should enter the market at least from the middle of the candle, around the $453 to $454 level, or from its base. So it's possible, there could even be a new high, yes. And when do we enter a short? When we see from the $454 area or from the $469 area a downward move with a bearish engulfing pattern on the hourly or 4-hour candles. So we need to see a reversal on a smaller time frame and only then go short. What is the target for this short? Well, the target is probably based on the RSI. That's one of the criteria. It's the value of 50. Look at how often we've come to this value. So you watch for when the RSI reaches 50 and you can close your position for a profit. The second technical target. Well, probably the starting point of the upward move. That's $410, or right here, $422. In other words, the nearest level where a local upward wave started. Now let's look at the weekly candles. What do we have on the weekly candles? On the weekly candles, the situation isn't great either, but the week hasn't closed yet. Notice, we've come up. By the way, Tesla gave the highest close. Did it give it or not? Yes, it did. It gave the highest close on the weekly time frame last week. And it updated the high on the current candle, but now it risks closing as a red candle. And candles like this often reverse the market. Again, under what conditions or where should we consider a short? Well, at least from the opening price of the current week, $444. Here too, you can't just open a position right here and now. That's not the right approach. A pullback to this area could happen next week. But here the situation also looks bearish. And the target for this decline is the previous week's low. That's $431. Well, then comes this level, $423. And then the gap closure around $395. This is just so we don't build any overly complicated models. Now let's look at the monthly candles. What do we have here? Take a look. A huge monthly candle gave the highest historical close. This speaks in favor of growth. So nothing here suggests a short position. Here the growth continues. The current month has only just begun, so to speak. Therefore, yes, we might see a correction to the middle of the current candle. Or at least to this important technical level. Let's at least mark one level. Here, $403. Everything more or less lines up. So, either here, or where do we have some other levels? Here was another important level, but honestly, it's rather debatable. I wouldn't mark that one. I'd just take the physical middle of the candle, somewhere around here, $375. So, somewhere in this range, you could probably consider a long position. After it forms according to the rules I mentioned on the lower time frames. But for now, this looks like a short. And even this giant green candle from the previous month actually supports the short case. Why? Because look, we had a big candle here. Right here. And what happened? There was a pullback almost to its base, but it fell just a little short. Yes, here's a candle that didn't get any pullback at all. But on the lower time frames, on the weekly and daily charts, doesn't it indicate that this is a short situation? It does. So, the probability that we'll see a corrective move to around $375 or at least to $405 is quite high. On that note, I suggest we wrap up. Let's not make things complicated with complex models. At the moment, Tesla is most likely a short, but the entry point should be higher than the current price. Although we can't rule out the possibility that when the American session opens today, the price could collapse to around $400 without any pullbacks. In that case, you'll simply consider a long position when we reach the target levels, which are $375 to $403. Subscribe and leave your comments. See you next time, goodbye.